saying hey everyone. This is OotiniCast episode 431 being recorded on the 18th of January 2022. And we're going to be getting going here. It looks like the stream is working out just fine. This is the raw version of the show, complete with any flubs and errors and all that good stuff. And we will clean it up, put out the podcast as an audio version tomorrow. Also, we'll put out this version on YouTube as well, the raw version out on YouTube. And we will go ahead and tweet this out. Let everyone know, and then we'll be ready to get going on the actual episode.
Get it going.
Yeah. So we are happy that Kitty was able to get back in time. You had, well, I know we're talking about it in a minute, but you had a computer thing doing. So that's
so weird. Yeah.
I was glad that you gave me a heads up this morning, though, just because, that way I could have it in the back of my head, like, if we need to, push it back a couple hours or even a day or whatever.
Let's see. If there's ever a chance that I'm going to be late, I'll always let you know.
Great. All right.
Ooh, one of my fans is sounding weird.
There we go. All right, tweeted it out.
Okay, and let me tweet your tweet.
Tweet the tweet of the tweety. All right, I did a little retweet myself. Why not? And it's basically the top of the hour now. We can get going anytime. I'm going to have a little water. If you're ready, I can get going.
I'm ready, baby.
All right. All right, go in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that sits on the throne of its former employer. This is episode 431, being recorded on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, KittyKissz. Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Chill.
Yes, and you can expect, I'm sure, more of the Book of Boba Fett quotes for the next few episodes for sure. It's always nice to do something sort of, recent and all that stuff. So anyway, how have things been? What you been up to?
Things have been great. I've been doing a lot of computer stuff, quote unquote. And one of the things I did is that Kitty Treat's got a new computer.
Oh, cool.
And she got some new monitors and some new monitor arms. And
you mean monitor arms being what? Things that hold your monitor?
Yeah, they're like, there's like these arms on C-clamps, and they go on the back of the desk. And then you can pull them up. You can have them.
So you can move them anywhere and not just like
position.
Sitting on. Okay, yeah, it's true. Because I don't really have arms. I only have like a little stand for each of mine. So I'm very set in where my monitors have to be.
Yeah, once you go arm, you never go back.
I'll bet.
And it opens up your desktop to so much room on your desktop, especially when you have multiple monitors. So
nice.
I went and when they came, I went and set up her whole table because, she works 9 to 5 and I had some time off and I'm like, screw it.
That's
do
sweet.
It as a little nice thing. So I cleaned the entire table. And then of course, once you get one spot clean, you got to pull the table out and do everything. So mopped and all that. Yeah. Did a bunch of wiring. I put up a new power strip.
Nice.
I did a whole bunch of stuff. Wrap cables, did cable management and all that stuff. And I found out that is I think that's one of my Zen places. I really love doing cable management and getting that and like just the act of doing it is very calming. And then when it's done, I feel
well, yeah, don't look behind my computer ever then.
Yeah, I've got different kinds of ties. I've got all kinds of cord management, like accoutrements. So it was really fun. And now she's got a really nice setup. So when we dual stream, she's got her table, which is this big giant table. And I've got my desk, which is a pretty good sized desk. And and it's
Right.
all nice and neat. And hers looks great. Mine is like it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a bird nest sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But-
For me, my cable management comes down to if the weight of the tangled cables aren't pulling out the plugs, then I'm fine.
That's right. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I did. So I got her all settled, and I actually got a new CPU installed today. I went from
On yours, and not on hers,
yeah,
huh?
on mine. I went from a
Nice.
Ryzen 5 to a Ryzen 7,
Hmm.
and while that, I had to take the tower out, disconnect it from everything, and I gave it a nice blow. I have a air compressor, and I just shot it out, got it all nice and clean, and then I drilled some holes in my desk for more cable management.
Nice.
So I went through and got those, those bits that are, like, what is it? Maybe
Yeah, those drill bits
diameter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that are like wider than they are long.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like punching holes in the desk, and now I got all different kinds of holes, and there's some ventilation issues in here, and so I punched some holes in there, and so there's nice airflow, and I can stash the cables and run the cable lines through so they're not like reaching everywhere, and that felt really good.
That's excellent.
So now that hers is taken care of and it has nice cable management, it looks okay. Now it's time to wrestle the bear over here.
Right.
Which is, that's a whole nother beast. But.
Yeah, it's sort of a shoemaker's children sort of situation.
Yeah. But I like it. It's so weird. I like it. And I even bought a new drill because this, I usually use a wireless, but it doesn't have the I need to punch through this particle board on this desk. So I went and got, a wired one that's going to have a lot more wattage and blast right through. It was very satisfying.
Nice.
But so I am really stoked. I haven't got to stream with the new CPU, and I'm very, very excited.
When will the first one be?
Tomorrow morning.
All right.
10 a.m. And
is this a dual stream with Kitty, or are you soloing this one?
This one's solo.
Okay.
I'm going to be soloing Monday or on the weekdays, and then Kitty and I are going to be dual streaming on the
weekends.
On the weekends, right?
That makes sense. You even mentioned she had like a 9-to-5 type situation.
Yeah, she works.
So
she works. She has a what I call a real job.
Yeah, but then you have real work too. I mean,
I know.
Anyone who's worked prep work in the kitchen knows you were doing a real work.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like even people in the restaurant industry, like it's standard to say, "Oh, you have a real job," like because the restaurant industry is so weird and wacky, and that's all.
Right, scheduling wise, it's weird and everything else. Yeah,
it's a mess. But so I'm really looking forward to doing, checking out the stream with this new Ryzen 7 CPU. And when I got home, I immediately turned the game on. I turned my Discord on and looked at my percentages and stuff like that to see what percentage I'm running at. And when I was running the game and running, the OBS, sure. I was pushing like 90 to 95% CPU usage.
Wow.
Like,
and this how was the game running at that level? Like full graphics and
it runs great.
And what sort of frame rate was it at?
I was I don't remember. I think I was at, I'm not exactly sure, but it ran great. Like it looked great, it ran great. But when I turned all that stuff on today when I got home, and it was running at 32%.
Nice.
So now I can start adding things that I had to give up because I didn't have enough CPU power. So,
and SWTOR sort of famously or infamously is very CPU heavy, like more than it is graphic card heavy, just because of when it was made and so on. And a lot of the times it really matters more what your CPU is. We also know, I believe, I mean, they've sort of hinted that there's going to be some potential graphical improvements coming or changes coming. We don't know all the details yet, but they've talked a little bit about that in some of the dev bits that they've done over the last year or so, sort of hinting that it would be part of the 10-year, anniversary, sort of as a way to, sort of brush up some things. Clearly doesn't seem to be happening for the actual drop of 7.0 in about a month from now. But it sounds like it is coming this year. So maybe having, not having your CPU running at 90% might be a good thing at that point.
I know. that Ryzen 5 is such a trooper. I mean, I put that thing through its paces on every day. So, yeah. What's funny is the guy that I went to, because I built this machine myself. This is the first machine I built completely with no one else's help.
That's cool.
And, but I was just a little kind of weary about doing the BIOS updates on the motherboard.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I had a little bit of, I was a little bit scared because even he had trouble with it because there was a weird loop she had to jump through and stuff like that. But
right.
I mean, it's a local business, and I live, work, and shop in my neighborhood.
Nice.
And share the love.
Yeah, absolutely.
But okay, so when I got back and texted you that everything was on point for today, like we were going to start on time, you got like a text or something? What exactly was that?
It was not a text exactly. It was, I was streaming and he showed up on my stream chat and said, "Hey, I just got done with Kitty. His computer's all set, and I'm sending him home so he can set it up." And it was around the same time that you. Yeah, it was actually shortly before you texted.
That is so funny. So he must have, because I told him that I'm a streamer, and we talked a lot while he was working on it.
Right.
It was really cool because I got to go back to the bench and like watch him do stuff, and we talked and all that stuff.
That's cool.
I'd mentioned, I'm a streamer. My name's KittyKissz. I was like, how did he get Chill's information? You must have Googled it, saw that you and I do a podcast or something like that.
Right. And then noticed that I was active somehow too. I don't know.
Right. Well, it was weird because you said that in the text, and I was like, is Chill having a stroke? What is he talking about here? I don't know exactly what he's talking about. So I was like, okay, Chill. And then you told me, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what that means. But that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Kitty Treats is taking some credit here. He says he knows your channels because of me.
Nice. Yeah, we talked about you a little bit too, Kitty Treats.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, local guy, super cool, great price, and support your local businesses.
Yeah, you're definitely now more than ever.
Yeah. That's about it for me. What's up with chat?
All right, yeah. Let's see who shows up here on the little list here. 29 Orioles here. Bo Froley. Deck is here. Hey Deck. Evan04111. Kidley. Kitty Treats is here. Mogul Mail. Ner Ramakad. I hope I pronounced that somewhat accurately. Overlord Bert. That's a funny name. I like that name. Predakill, Arjar75 is here. Kuze's here. Squishy Twitchy, Xylane are all here. Hey, everyone. All right. So what I've been up to, I finished getting Betty White to 75, and that felt like enough. I'm going to leave her as sort of like a, crafter bot, essentially.
Right.
And so started up I even tweeted this out. I didn't recheck it. I don't know if it's still active, but the price of the server character slots, which are usually 600 cartel coins, the sale seems to have kept going on those, and they're at 300. So just the other day, I bought a few more. In fact, I used up the rest of my cartel coins, basically buying like 4 more slots, because I did a fair bit over the course of the sale, whittled them down pretty well, but I did spend the last, I got 4 more for, I guess it'd be 1,200, 300 times 4, so because I know I'll use them. It's like And I went ahead and unlocked them. Even I didn't. It's not like I'm keeping them in inventory. By the way, like cartel, maybe we'll make this the tip of the week. Like, if you want a credits per CC that's really high, and you just because you want to take your cartel coins and turn them into credits on the GTN, character slots go for crazy amounts. Like,
yeah, they do.
There's even at 600, it's like, and it's multiple hundreds of millions of credits for one of them. It's insane. So there's your tip of the week. We'll
Nice.
make that the tip of the week. So what I did actually with one of these slots is I made a Vi character from Arcane / League of Legends. Just, she's a character who has like these mechanical, semi-magical, mechanical punching fists that she wears. So did a backstab smuggler because that spec actually, one of its main abilities is like this double punch sort of thing. And I'm really enjoying it, having a lot of fun.
Nice.
And yeah, it was really great. Not doing it as unarmed like I did with Shrek a while back. That would work too, of course. But but then you have to like take off the arms and everything. And I found like basically I'm pretty happy with the cosplay because she wears like this very specific outfit in our Arcane where she has like this sort of like vest that's short vest with like a shirt underneath it, and then she has like, I just found the biggest gloves I could and dyed them sort of yellow and blue to sort of match them up as best I could. They're still not like nearly as big as Vi's are in Arcane / League of Legends, but those are so crazy oversized. They're like,
oh yeah,
they're literally like a meter wide and like a meter like long from her elbow to well past where actual hand would be. So there's nothing like that in the game, but I found like the biggest ones I could. Basically I just went through all like the heavy armor type looks and found ones that I liked, and so pretty happy with her look. Pretty accurate. She's also famous for having Vi tattooed under her eye, and instead I found there's the scar that's actually a sort of a slash under the eye. It actually looks
I'm looking at it right now.
It looks like half of a V basically. So it helps with the accuracy just a bit. I'm pretty happy with her. It's a lot of fun, and it's also nice to do the Smuggler's story, which I haven't done in quite a while. I've always enjoyed it. I've done it a lot over the years, but not recently. Like I've done what have I done more recently? Like Bounty Hunter, Warrior, Inquisitor, Consular.
Yep.
Even a Trooper. I haven't done Agent for a while. I'm holding off on Knight because I want to do one when the expansion drops. And then Smuggler's like the only other one that I haven't done for quite a while. So yeah, it's nice to get back to it.
I love how the picture you have, she has her eyes closed.
Yeah. It was accidental, but it's fine.
It's great. I love it because it reminded me of My Name is Earl, on that show, whenever he was in a photo, his eyes were always closed. Great.
I didn't know that bit. Yeah, I remember that show, but I never actually watched it. I heard it was good, though.
It is. Good. It's really fun.
Yeah, so there were no tips sent in this week, so the tip of the week is, like I said, if you want to change your CCs to credits, character server slots go for a lot on the GTN, like insane amounts. They always have, and now with the recent inflationary expansion that we experienced over the last few months, it's maintained that insanity. It's still crazy. So yeah.
How many character slots do you have actually unlocked? Do you know?
I think it's up to 67 or 8 now.
Nice.
I think that's right. Yeah. Yeah, because it was I think it was 64. I think it's 68 because I think it was 64, and then I unlocked 4 more. I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyway, yeah. So I know what I'm going to do with one of them because I have one I'm planning on doing pretty much as soon as the expansion drops. I might spend a day or two going through the content. At least the story content of 7.0.
All right.
Legacy of the Sith, but then I want to get a character going, using the whole new thing where you can actually mix and match the story versus the weapon and so on to get things just right.
It's gonna feel like driving on the wrong side of the road I think
Yeah.
for people that have played it for a long time, you're so used to it one way, and then you're gonna, we'll be able to go through it a completely different way.
Right. And
I'm
yeah,
looking forward
exactly. And
to it.
if it's like a Jedi Knight story, you can have your secondary abilities as a stealther if you want to. And
Yeah.
they didn't bother to put anti-stealth on any of the non-stealth class story bits. All those things show up in the instances of like the smuggler. I'm doing the smuggler, and like maybe half to 3/4 of the time there's going to be at least some enemies that have anti-stealth that you sort of have to either just push past or deal with or whatever. But that never shows up in like the Jedi Knight or the other stories where there's no stealth. So yeah. So if you do have a tip of the week, send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show for a chance to win a Tonfon or M83R droid pet code, or now you can also get the M2B9 droid code, courtesy of BioWare, plus an OotiniCast provided ultimate pack. And we're actually going to start a new segment to this episode. We haven't done a new segment for a while, and I just thought this would be fun. This might be occasional, or it might just be temporary, and then we drop it at some point. But I've always been really impressed with SWTOR and how much voice acting it has in it. Last I checked, it still holds the world record for the most voice acting in a video game, which is pretty incredible.
Nice.
And yeah, so and there's all kinds of voice actors. Like some of them are clearly like this was some of their first work, and others they were well established voice actors. Some of them have come back to do other stories. Like for example, Theron, was originally one of a companion voice, and then he came back to actually do Theron Shan. And stuff like that. So they definitely bring people back, and they use people for multiple roles and stuff like that. And so today we're going to start up with Tara Strong. I have a link to her IMDb page in the show notes, and for a couple of reasons, but I think it's pretty cool. Like in SWTOR, Tara Strong does two different companions. One's on the smuggler story, and that's Risha Drayan. And the other one is Holiday, which technically is kind of a companion of a companion, because Holiday is sort of the holographic companion to Theron Cedrax. And if you've done the story, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can tell how good she is, because like it's really hard to tell these are voiced by the same person. Like unless you're really listening for it, it's really tricky to tell that these would both be the same person voicing Risha, who has sort of a very smooth, mellow voice, a little on the low side even, and then Holiday, who has a very high up, sort of super sweet, saccharine sort of pitchy voice, like way up there, and really well done. Both of the characters are well acted, so really happy to sort of point this out for her. She's done a few other voice bits. Nothing that really stood out to me when I looked through them. I did add them to the show notes. One thing that I thought I did actually remember is there's an Alderaan Imperial mission where an Imperial asks you to find his daughter, who's been taken by the Killiks, not the Killiks, but the other ones. And it turns out she's a joiner. So she's joined just like the other companion has.
I know what one you're talking about. Yeah.
Right, and so she voices the daughter once you meet her. And yeah, there's some other ones. Basically, whenever they brought back Risha to voice something, like if she was doing a companion thing, then they would have her do some of these little side motion, little side stories. The cool thing is that like she is really well established as a voice actor. She's done some live action stuff too, but she's really well known for her voice work. So this includes, and I'm putting the first one up front because I used to love this show, was Timmy Turner on the Fairly Oddparents. So she had the lead role on Fairly Oddparents. She was also Bubbles on the Powerpuff Girls. She was Barbara Gordon in Batman the Killing Joke, plus a bunch of other shows. She was also Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, Basically, if you're listening to to Barbara Gordon or Harley Quinn or Poison Ivy in like a TV animated series, and probably almost certainly one of the voice video games as well, from like 2011 or so is when she started on these roles. That's her. She's going to play all those. And even when there's multiple of those roles in the same show, she's voicing Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, and Barbara Gordon, which is really cool. She was Ben on Ben 10, Scarlet Witch in multiple animated series, so she's done DC and Marvel sort of related stuff. Back in the day, the like evening animated series Drawn Together, she was Toot and Princess Clara. She was Dill Pickles and others on Rugrats. She was Raven on Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. So, I mean, these are like really, really well known roles that she's done. She's also had multiple small roles. She's been brought back time and again to do little bit parts in Rick and Morty, American Dad, and if you look at her IMDb page, it just goes on and on. Basically, from like this time she started voicing, she's been crazy busy. And her most recent role that I thought was interesting was on the show Loki. So if you have Disney Plus because you're enjoying The Mandalorian and watching Book of Boba Fett and all that good stuff, and if you watch Loki, well, she played Miss Minutes. So there she go. So if you hear, and Miss Minutes, you can actually hear a little Holiday, maybe a little Risha, more a little Holiday, I think, but you can tell it's the same voice actor, which is really cool. So. And Miss Minutes, she was in more than one of the Loki episodes, and in fact, there's some indications that the character might come back in some form, which is really odd because it was like it's a very specific character. Sort of, if you've seen Loki, this character is like very specific to that show, and yet there's some talk that she might end up appearing somewhere else, which I think is hilarious. So so congratulations to Tara Strong. Really happy to have her, in the SWTOR. Whatever, the SWTOR family, whatever. So
yeah,
go ahead.
The first time she kind of popped out to me is there's this movie called I Know That Voice. It's a documentary on about
voice acting.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of a lot of the actors that are in there will like pop into character, just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And she's one of them. And I just remember going, whoa, like her voice changed so dramatically. And I think it was one of the Powder Puff Girls.
Right.
And
Bubbles, the Bubbles one.
Yeah, she stood out. But if you're interested in any of that, go check out I Know That Voice. It's a great documentary.
Right. I didn't add it, but she's also done like My Little Pony. She's done like crazy amounts of stuff. So it was really cool. So I'm going to be, we'll highlight other voice actors as we go, but Tara Strong's a pretty good place to start.
I really like this, Jill. I think it's a great addition.
Okay, great. And if people are listening and they want to chime in, either tell me, nah, this is not that great, or maybe you have a voice actor you want me to talk about in a future episode, just let me know. Appreciate it. My email for the show is chill@OotiniCast.com. So that'll bring us to the Mind Trap. And we did just have I guess the sale for the character slots seemed to have gone on a little bit longer for whatever reason.
Right.
But, we had a multi-week cartel market and then also an unlock sale. And what we did is we asked how many cartel coins did you spend, and not a huge amount of votes, but enough to sort of get an idea of where people were. So the ones we chose, and actually you and I went a little back and forth to sort of figure out what ranges we wanted to include. We wanted one at 0, so if people did absolutely nothing, they could indicate that. 1 to 5,000 we ended up with as sort of the second one. A bigger one of 5,001 to 25,000, and then 25,001 plus. And there were a few, not many, with 25,001 plus, which is a lot of cartel coins. A lot. So there's 230 votes. 1.3% had the 25,001 or more. So it was, a tiny minority, but hey, not 0. 0 was actually not the highest one either. 0 was 37%, however. So, some people just sort of didn't, take advantage of the sale in any way, which is fine, of course. And of course, some people, if they're playing free to play and they're not they haven't put in their security code or anything like that, then there's just no cartel coins to be spent. 1 to 5,000 was the most popular. So 0 was 37%. 1 to 5,000, which is where I was at 39.6%, beating it up, but not by much. And then 5,001 to 25,000, which is a pretty good, range, and it's a pretty high range, is 22.2%. That's a lot too. That's quite a bit. So yeah, it looks like Dreadism spent like 20,000 CCs.
Kitty treats. Oh my gosh. How much did you spend, babe?
And
I did that 25,000
because he gave away cartel packs. Ah, cool. Okay, well that's a good reason to do it.
Yeah.
And I think originally I only thought I spent like 1,500, but I did some math in my head later, and I was still correct. It was less than 5,000, but I think it was more like 3,000 total. It really did. It adds up, fast.
Right.
Especially when you're doing the unlocks and you're just like, okay, well, we've got it unlocked on one character. Let's just get this unlocked on everyone while it's nice and cheap. That was like a big chunk for me. And then I did unlock a couple of mounts when they were at half sale. The Hollow Rancor was one, and I keep forgetting the Vertica, Vectron Vertica, I think is what it is. The little stand by the pole thing, which I love. Every time it comes up, it's so nice. I just love that speeder. The Hollow Rancor is way cool too.
Yeah, it is pretty
cool. So I was at the 1 to 5,000 crowd. That was me. And how about you, Kitty?
I was sticking around with the 5,001 to 25,000.
Nice.
For Christmas this year, Kitty and myself gave each other $100 worth of cartel coins.
Oh, wow.
So that's 14,500 right there.
Yep.
And then Kitty dipped in a little bit more after that, and she's sitting around 30K.
Wow. Like, so she was in that 1.3%.
She got a raise at work and was like, screw it.
Unlocks for everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's funny. She ended up buying a bunch of the Cartel Market boxes, I forget what they're called. And anyway, she'll be like, hey, do you want a couple boxes? I'm like, okay, I'll take a couple boxes.
But of course, yeah.
But I have so much stuff unlocked that it's basically I'm opening boxes and then giving the stuff to her, it's still fun.
Right. Well, but, and it's cool because if it's something rare that you don't have, then great. Yeah,
it's fun. It's good.
But stuff. So she was 30,000. She was one of the big ones. Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah,
it was fun. I unlocked a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we talked before I put out the thing, because I was thinking a lot lower. Like I was thinking like 1 to 2,000. Something like that, and then 2,000 to, I don't know, 10,000 or something, and that would have skewed it way too low. We wouldn't have gotten any sort of granularity out of it. And even this way, it's a little crazy, but
yeah, it is a little crazy.
Because if 5,000 to 25,000 is a huge range to sort of slap into the and then have 22% of it, because. Does that mean like they're mostly at the 20,000, 25,000 end, or are they all barely making the 5,000? I don't know, but
I mean, and it's a huge jump from 0 to 5,000. That's big, and then from 5,001 to 25,000.
Yep, but I didn't want to split it in half, because half didn't make sense either.
Right,
half wouldn't have given us the granularity either. So I think it worked well, but it would have been nice if Twitter allowed more than 4. But it's all good.
It's still, I am still very. I thought that 5,001 was going to be a little bit higher. I thought that the 1 to 5,000 and the 5,001 to 25,000 was going to be swapped. I thought that those numbers would be
right. You think
there,
right? So right. That makes sense. 0 was a little higher than I thought. Like
0 was a little higher.
I mean, I get it. I knew there would be zeros. That's why we included it. But 37% does seem a little high. So some people were like, and they can't all be free to play players answering that. That's got to be some people actually just saying, you know what, I'm not gonna spend any cartel.
Well, that's how some people I think win
this season.
Quote, win the game. That's how they like to do it. They like to get everything. They like to play the game without spending any money.
Right.
I mean, more power to you if you can do it.
Right.
But I don't know. It's funny when you said 0, because in my head, because I know that what Kitty and I did for Christmas gifts this year, I didn't think that there would be anybody that actually spent 0 cartel coins. So when you put 0, I went, oh yeah, you're right, Chill. I think we should have a 0 in there.
That's funny. We did get this isn't the sort of mind trap that's going to get a ton of people, giving responses, but a few people did. Weldon's mom said, honestly, if those prices were permanent, I'd be spending cartel coins all the time.
I know, right?
It's definitely tempting, especially that's part of the whole thing of the sale, though, is that it gives you these little windows to sort of like jump in and spend coins that you might otherwise just sit on, Mm-hmm. But it's true that, obviously if things are cheaper, you would spend more for sure. Nethan said, honestly, I wasn't paying attention to any sale. Oops. Shia Seacher said, all I had, which was only a few hundreds, which is fair, hey?
That's cool. Still, you get a lot for a few hundreds.
Yeah. And then SW Force 4 EU, I voted 5001, but basically I lost track. I'm guessing based on the fact that I bought multiple armor sets plus all the unlocks and a few decos, and I think I had like 9,000 saved up. So I'm down to 3,000 or 4,000. Fair enough.
Nice.
Yeah. So. And then Bjorn said only a couple hundred on collection unlocks. Would have spent way more if renames were included in the sale. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, that is.
I never. Yeah, to me, I hardly ever rename people. Like I honestly don't remember renaming anything except when there's been a server merger and I had to. There's been a couple of times when I had a generic enough name. That it just, either happened to be there or whatever, and I had to rename a character. But it's been really rare, and I don't think I've ever spent it. But clearly, some people really are into it. They will buy those name unlocks, and they will use them, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
I got the legacy name unlock. What happened is that when the server merges happened,
right,
my KittyKissz's legacy went to Starforge, and then I was playing on SWTOR Sham because I found Utini.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I went and changed it to KittyKissz for SWTOR Sham as well.
Right.
So I've done it. But I wonder if somebody got the game for their kid, and the kid named it something kind of silly or goofy, and then dad or mom decided to, all right, I think I'm going to start playing, but I don't want to be called...
Right, but we're saying since you can now have spaces between the names, maybe some older characters without the space option at that time might have had a change wanted,
oh, that's a great, yeah.
Which makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. In fact, although it's funny, I did Vi, as the cosplay character. It turns out you can't do Vi as a space, so I tried chill space Vi. Can't do it. It has to be 3 letters. If there's a space, there has to be 3 letters. And I know because that's the exact error it gave me. Was that there has to be 3 or more letters before or after a space.
Oh, so it specifically said that. That's great.
It's specific to that. Yeah, so I cannot do chill space Vi. It has to be chill Vi altogether. Or I could have wiggled something else out of it, but I would have had to add another letter to Vi to make it 3 letters. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That's kind of.
And I wasn't aware of that rule either. I didn't remember it anyway. I remember a couple 3 years back when they started allowing the spaces in the names, but I don't remember that really coming up where you had to have 3 or more letters in any part of the name. Or before or after a space is how it was phrased, but same difference. All right, let's get on to the holo feed and the in-game events for January. Article came out just after our last show. It happens sometimes. So Life Day is basically done. It is done. The 10-year anniversary is still technically going because there are parts of it that are going throughout this year. The Feast of Prosperity, however, is still active. That started on January 11th and is actually going until February 1st. And they're doing the week-by-week bits, but you can go in and get those missions done. Feast of Prosperity, that's on Nar Shaddaa. You have to be level 20 and above, and there's still some fun stuff in there. I haven't gone back and done it a lot, but I notice every once in a great while I'll get a little Feast of Prosperity token drop, which is fun. And let's see, where is it? The All Worlds Ultimate Swoop Rally. That one was the 11th through the 18th. So that one just is the one that just finished. And then, but we do have another one coming up, which is Rakghoul. Rakghoul on Tatooine. That's going to be a week from now, starting January 25th, and it's going to go through February 1st. And again, that one's the Rakghoul version that's on Tatooine. Let's see. So there was also a PTS Rewards update. Let's see. There was on the PTS, if you do a bunch of the content on the PTS, then you can get the special holo version of the log mount. Right. And there was an objective, something called Objective Meridian. It was kind of blocking people, I guess, because maybe it's multiplayer. I wasn't sure the exact reason, but apparently it was causing people some issues, or maybe it was just more difficult. I'm not sure. But they're shifting the completion requirement for the complete expansion story achievement. For Republic players, completing Race to Refuel will satisfy the requirement. For Imperial players, completing, quote, the failsafe will satisfy the requirement. The one other thing that they did notice, I think it shows up later in the show notes, but while we're thinking about it, the Kaizyken holo mount is actually going to be regular speed. It's not the little jittery, juggy, buggy thing that they did for the other ones. So it's going to be a real mount, which is kind of funny.
The ghost of the log mount actually goes faster.
Yeah. Yep. So when speaking of Kaizyken, there's an update regarding the change that people have noticed on the PTS and so on with Kaizyken. This turns out to be live also, kind of by accident apparently. This was a change that was planned for 7.0, however it went out earlier than expected. Please know that Kaizyken will remain as is until 7.0, and they did kind of highlight later on that the reason is like there's no easy undo for this apparently in their code, so this is just starting early. When Legacy of the Sith launches, Kaizyken will offer the following: a rotating collection of tacticals, a rotating collection of crafting schematics for tacticals and set bonuses, a new unidentified crate that will give players a piece of set bonus gear from Spoils of War expansion. This will be similar to the current unidentified unique item crate, but we will be removing the tacticals since they can be purchased via other means and renaming the crate to better reflect its content. And yeah, so there you go. Galactic Seasons 2 and Activity Finder on the PTS, they wanted to clarify some info about the mount reward, and unlike its original predecessor, the MK90 holo log mount will run at regular speed. That name is so funny.
It's great.
Holo log.
I am going to be dropping some serious respect to people driving those things around.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work.
They earned it. They definitely earned it. Kudos.
Yep. David Stats did a Galactic Seasons 2 feedback post, and he said, I want to take a moment and thank you for the great feedback we've received while Season 2 has been on the PTS, and also provide some updates and clarifications. Basically, like the Seasons Objective tab, the version of the Conquest window tab seen on the PTS is an incomplete version. The version we have on our development server is much clearer and should alleviate the lack of clarity. In addition, we're aware that clicking on the Season Objectives button on the Galactic Seasons page is not always taking players to the correct window in-game. We're finishing off the last piece of code for this to correctly link. It'll be fixed once we go live with Season 2. This is going to be in 7.0. Underworld Syndicate plans. There's been feedback regarding the Underworld Syndicate plans, specifically how to obtain them for the season objective, Infiltrating the Competition. We've added additional context and information to the season objective, which will now inform players the sources of Underworld Syndicate plans and the number they may obtain from each source, so that's good. In addition to clarification of where to obtain them, we've also updated Caius's conversation as to now directly mention Underworld Syndicate plans by name, rather than vaguely referencing information. So this is all stuff that's going to be more important when Season 2 starts.
Right.
There's going to be Season 2 is quite a bit different.
Yeah, it's a lot different
from the original one.
Have you played it in on the public?
Only when it first came out, I briefly touched on it, but I haven't seen anything since they've more recently done it. So
yeah, I just updated
almost
my public test server.
Good. Okay.
So I'm gonna go in there
check it out. Nice. Yeah. Is that gonna be part of your stream?
I think so. I've got an idea that I want to ask questions to, like what would people like to see in public test server, and then I can, if there's any prep that I need to do for it, I can go take care of it so that when I'm live, I can just go do it. So.
Yeah, it's like, let's do the test server. Okay, everyone wants to do this that requires 4 hours of prep work.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. Let's grind. Yeah.
I did transfer another character over there, so
nice.
The transfers are live.
Right. And that happened a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I think it was right before the last show. Let's see. To further clarify some confusion, we've seen Underworld Syndicate plans do not come from achievements. Our season objectives utilize the same tech as our achievement system. So when players were getting mail from achievement systems, it was the core tech behaving as it should for all achievement-based assets. The reason for the mail is based on how we previously authored the pre-achievement system to handle item-based achievement rewards, such as Underworld Syndicate plans. The current system takes any item reward and mails them to the character which completed the achievement. We're finishing our update to this system such that when Season 2 goes live, Underworld Syndicate plans earned from season objectives should simply go to their player's currency tab while updating the Infiltrating the Competition season objective. In other words, it won't be using the whole mail thing. Let's see. We don't need to see about that. Blah blah blah. Fensal Customization. This is going to be. There's a companion in the second season as there was in the first. This one's called Fensal. Yeah. We understand there's a desire for Fen himself to be more customizable in his appearance, as we did with SWTOR. I'm happy to go into some additional detail here as to why he's set up the way he is currently. We want players to have the opportunity to express themselves through their companions and to customize that experience. For many, that is dressing their companion in any outfit they desire, and while we want to offer that option, there are often times when that becomes more difficult to support, both technically as well as when we wish to maintain character integrity. Our outfit system allows players to equip themselves and sometimes their companions in outfits which reveal skin, such as the torso, arms, legs, hands, and feet. This requires that the character has the appropriate art made for each of those regions. There are many characters in the game which currently do not have the art to support this, and attempting to work around this would not be in the best interest of the player or the look of the character. Other times we opt to keep a certain look or style to companion to maintain the integrity of that character. For example, for a long time, you couldn't customize Lana in any way. They added it eventually, but there was a long time when she's just not customizable at all.
Right.
While we may offer alternate looks for them, their outfit is part of what makes them unique and definable at a quick glance. There's never any question as to of which companion just ran by when it's Nico or Arkin, which is true. Fensal is a character we wish to maintain this integrity with. Understanding, however, that customization is important, we created some additional skin variants for Fen, which players will be able to earn and or purchase throughout the season. We did this with the intent to offer players, it's kind of cool, more immediate options should player desire them, while maintaining the character integrity, which we believe is important for him. And let's see.
I like that. I mean, if we can't, if they're unable to do it the quote the original way, it's nice that they're kind of throwing in different kind of customizations that you can have on him.
Right, as opposed to saying, "Oh, sorry, that's just how it is." Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Just
like Nico Okar, he never changes his clothes.
Yeah, exactly. As mentioned in an earlier post, we can effectively break the season objectives into 3 types based on their time to complete, complexity, and access. In short, they can best be defined the following way. 6 solo-oriented objectives intended to be completed by solo players and are balanced toward being completed in 30 to 40 minutes. These offer players 6 galactic season points for a total of 36 galactic season points if all 6 are completed. 3 multiplayer oriented objectives are intended to be completed with or against other players, often involving queue times or some other manner of more coordinated effort between multiple players. They are balanced toward being completed in 60 to 80 minutes, with their potential queue times being considered as part of this time to complete. These offer players 12 galactic season points for a total of 36 galactic season points if all 3 are completed, and 1 subscriber objective. This objective is intended solely as an option for subscribed players and will require content included in expansions outside of what we offer in our free content. The completion times of these can vary anywhere between 30 and 80 minutes, so a wider variance, which kind of makes sense. and will vary week to week between being solo-oriented and multiplayer-oriented, which is cool. Because I could see that way, like if they're having you do a chapter of Kotfi or whatever, that's more solo, and then maybe I don't know what the multiplayer ones would look like, but those would be available too.
Maybe what are they called? They're not flashpoints.
Uprisings.
Uprisings. Maybe like an uprising or something.
Maybe, yeah. And then due to the time and effort required for multiplayer-based objectives, as well as a smaller number of them in total, they require additional points to balance out the total options for players to make informed decisions on. Even in the event we lowered the overall requirements for the multiplayer-oriented objectives to maintain the roughly same time to complete estimates as the solo-oriented ones, these objectives would still require additional padding of points to compensate for the added complexity layer of accessibility. And last but not least, I recently sat down and talked about Galactic Seasons 2 in an interview with This Week in Aurebesh. And in fact, I added a link to it in the show notes, and I pulled out a couple of questions that I thought were particularly germane. And although the whole thing was really interesting, and I do recommend people check it out. It's at generic-hero.com this week in Aurebesh, and the link is too long to just say out, but if you do a search for it, that's how you would look for it.
I'll post it in chat.
Mm-hmm. One of the questions was, there were also complaints that the objectives felt like chores or forced. This is a question given to David. There were complaints that the objectives felt like chores or forced players into gameplay modes like PvP or GSF that they didn't enjoy. This is talking about Galactic Seasons 1. To what extent is Galactic Seasons about encouraging players to try something new, or simply allowing them to play however they want to complete objectives? And Stats answered, it's best to approach this as a comparison between two systems we have in the game, Conquest and Galactic Seasons. Both are similar in nature at their core, complete objectives and earn rewards. Conquest is a system where we wanted to reward players for virtually anything they did in the game, and have those rewards be meaningful to one's overall in-game progression, be that monetary, guild, or equipment-related progression. This allows the player to continue to progress through the game by simply playing any content the game offers. Because Conquest is so flexible, however, it also has the potential to leave some players with decision paralysis. One could sit and shuffle through the expansive list of Conquest objectives long before actually going out and doing anything. When we set out to create Galactic Seasons, we wanted there to be some overlap to Conquest. Seasons was intended as a system which rewarded players with mostly cosmetic items, but intentionally asked players to step outside of their comfort zone in order to obtain those rewards. We want Galactic Seasons to be a more directed and streamlined path to activities, becoming a system which complements Conquest but not replacing it. While the core intent of the systems is different, we still want to give players opportunities and room to progress through their objectives in a manner they see fit best for them. This was our intent with some of our objectives from Season 1, such as defeat non-player opponents across Belsavis, Hoth, Rishi, or Tatooine, or complete heroic missions on Alderaan, Balmorra, or Corellia. With Season 2, we're continuing and expanding this type of objective design while also updating how we present them to players each week. We're adding a handful of objectives in Season 2, which gives players the bonus progression for certain actions. This is intended to further provide ways for players to progress their objectives in a way they felt best for them, including if a player wanted to further challenge themselves. So what they're saying is Galactic Seasons is intended to be like a more focused set of objectives. Like, it's not... Conquest really is pretty broad. Like, you can craft and get Conquest objectives. You can, decorate your stronghold and on a daily basis and get Conquest objectives and stuff like that. Seasons is meant to be more like, okay, here's a system in the game, like multiplayer or flashpoints or whatever, and you go do that, basically. Let's see. The first two seasons seem to be themed around their signature companion. Will that be the model going forward, and will each season's theme be separate from SWTOR's ongoing story, or related to events going on in the game at the time? Good question.
Great question.
Yeah. David Stats, our plans for seasonal themes will definitely include a strong connection to the companion for that season, but we're also looking into a larger theme which that companion and the players can fall into. When we're looking at the theme for Season 2, we took a larger picture approach. What is something that speaks as a central theme to Star Wars, and how can we incorporate that theme into all aspects of the season? So for Season 2, we landed on syndicates of the underworld, a theme which is extremely prevalent throughout Star Wars stories, from the original story to Clone Wars series and to more recent stories such as The Mandalorian. Knowing we wanted to explore that as a central theme, we then looked at what that theme meant for the overall picture of the season? How does the companion character, Fensal, fit into that theme? How do the rewards fit into that theme? How can we better incorporate the objectives for the season into that theme? And what sort of story can we tell with that theme? Star Wars offers lots of opportunities for incredible storytelling, and we want Galactic Seasons to have its own unique approach to that, individual of what the player may be tackling for their own character's story. We want Galactic Seasons to be relevant for any player at any point in their own story progression, so while there might be small nods or an acknowledgement of the most up-to-date story, we also want it to keep its own time frames in terms of what may or may not be happening across the galaxy. Pretty clever, because yes, now that he's kind of spelled it out that way, it makes sense that yes, it might not be, about like what's going on in the very latest content, which A, not everyone has access to if they're not subscribed, and B, like maybe they have been focusing on their lower level characters and they don't know that what's going on with Malagus or whatever, which is pretty cool. Anyway, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's I like that. I think that's great timing.
Yeah, and like I said, that's not the interview goes on. There's quite a bit more to it, and the link is definitely worth following up on. But while we're on this whole season 2 thing, Eleva on Twitter, it's Eleva SWTOR, found a Jawa on the Cartel Bazaar on the PTS server, and it offers to trade purple Jawa scrap for a buff to increase the drop rate of the Galactic Season 2 reputation items. So we don't know exactly how the reputation item system is going to work, but apparently some of it is based on drops, which have a drop rate and which you can increase using a buff from inside. You get at the Cartel Bazaar, which is pretty cool.
I like that. There's
a little YouTube video. I put a link to it in the show notes. And so yeah, that'll be it. That was interesting to me because I was like, oh, it's actually a drop rate sort of thing where it's not just like go out and do this 10 times or whatever. But it's something that's going to be kind of ongoing. It's like, oh, okay, I got another drop, which actually helps me on my seasons, which is pretty cool.
Right. I like it that it's a Jawa too. One, I love Jawas, but two, it's kind of, it sounds like maybe a little cheat or a little, maybe a little underhandedness going on for this swapperoo.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, and it looked like they wanted like a fair number of like the purple Jawa junk for it. So it's definitely gonna like over the course of the thing. I buy a fair number of the maintenance and delicacy gifts because I find them very, very useful, and I highly recommend people do that. But apparently, there's just a lot of the Jawa junk floating around because, anytime you fail a rank level 11 mission, you're going to get some. Anytime you do a slicing level 11 mission, you're going to get some. You get some when you delete armor. You get some. I mean, there's daily login rewards that have them. I'm kind of swimming in them, frankly.
Cartel,
any of my level 75 characters that I've had a while, they all have several thousand of each of the colors, green, blue, and purple. Less of the purple, but you get the idea. And and I've got just stacks of them kind of hanging around. So it's definitely going to be a nice little sink for them.
I have a whole tab on one of my storage characters that is dedicated just to green and blue Jawa scrap.
Wow.
Thousands of it. And I'm going,
that's wild.
What I want to spend this on.
Yeah.
I'm an MMOer, so you never know.
Right.
You need to save it because you don't know what it's going to get, a year or two down the road.
Well, anything that if you're ever low on crafting materials that are below level 11, they're really cheap.
Yeah.
The level 11 stuff are massively expensive. They made this giant jump. I guess they just wanted people not to have take the Jawa junk and just immediately have access to scads and scads of rank 11 stuff.
Emergency use. Or
right. This would be early in onslaught. They just didn't want that to happen and kind of mess up the whole crew skill system and the economy of it and so on. So there's this huge jump in price between the low level stuff, which is usually single digits, and then the level 11, which is it's 200, and it's kind of crazy. It's really high from what I remember. I haven't, but I don't do that. I always buy the gifts. I love the gifts.
I buy gifts like crazy. Well, we're altaholics.
Yeah.
And so
having a nice stack. Yeah.
Every character that I make, I can't just leave my companions not knowing any true skills. So every time I have to have them at least for whatever reason, 25 is the number.
Oh, okay.
That's the minimum I'll have them. And I have to have all of my companions that I send out all at the same number. So if I accidentally get one to 26, I got to get all of them to 26.
Wow. Okay.
Because I want them to come out at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not that specific about it, but I do like to give gifts, and it's nice, because the maintenance gifts are easy. If you've got a droid companion, they're going to like the maintenance gifts. Yeah. The delicacies are a little trickier. You got to figure out who likes them. Okay, Lana likes them okay, and Darth Hexed likes them really well. Or pretty well, at least. I can't remember if it's medium level or high level with her, but she likes them well enough that I actually do give them to her. And there's a few others, and some of the class ones do like them. It's not just like Lana and that's right. Lana sort of likes them, but I think Koth really likes them, from what I remember. And then I think Senya likes them a little bit as well. So there's definitely a bent toward, because they came out later. It makes sense that like the expansion companions like them a little bit more than like the class story ones.
This is my handy dandy what do companions like cheat sheet, and every time I'm like, okay. Check it out. I've got notes on the back. It's
That's
so
nice.
old. It's like it's taped together.
That's great. All right. Let's see. So there's just a little note here. The renown caches will be removed at 7.0. So if you're I usually just open mine. I haven't ever like stashed renown crates. But if you are, for any reason, open them up before 7.0, they are not openable after that. Now, whether you can sell them for credits or not, I'm not sure. But we know even if they are, they're not going to be available. They won't give you very many credits. We know that from past experience, like you never get a lot of credits for a no longer openable type crate. That's for sure. So yeah, if just go ahead and open them.
Get it in there.
And so let's see. Yeah, players should open the caches before Legacy of the Sith launches. That's what how Jackie phrased it. And finally, Book of Boba Fett is still coming out once a week pace on Wednesdays.
Tomorrow.
So yep, tomorrow's the next one. Yay. We've had 3 of them so far. I usually get because my wife's day off are not on Wednesday. I usually see them a little late, but I've been able to avoid spoilers for the most part. I've been enjoying it. It's a little bit of a slow burn, it's not like I've been blown away by the first 3 episodes, but it has been interesting. I've been enjoying it, and I feel like it's getting better as it goes for me. Personally, on the last one, I really like the street bikers with all the bright colored speeders. For some reason, like some people on social media were like kind of taking digs at Star Wars for them, but yeah, I guess. To me, it makes sense that if you have like youths that are like, buying and customizing their own speeders, they're going to be, at least some of them are going to be brightly colored. Like, it doesn't make sense that they'd all be gray and black.
Right. And that's something that Lucas said. He goes, I forgot who he was criticizing, but he was asking what's new about this. And that's one of the things that Lucas always did, is he would add new things all the time instead of just having all the old stuff.
Right.
And I kind of was like, okay.
Yeah, and it's true, because like the speeders bikes on Endor, were meant to be scout bikes, and they should be sort of like dull colored and matte and brown and gray, so that you can't see them from a distance as easily.
Right.
Kids with speeder bikes are going to be the opposite. They're going to want to be flashy and fun. To me, the styling actually looks a lot like the Mirm series of speeders in SWTOR. There's Mirm Wolf. A lot of them are named after animals. There's some that are not named after animals, but I can't remember those names at all. There's definitely a Mirm Wolf, though, and a couple of others, and they very much look like that style. Very bright colors with some chrome on them and stuff like that.
Are they the BB ones?
There's some other, and there's certainly other speeders, in SWTOR that look like those as well. But the Mirm series for sure definitely look like those kind of speeders. And so I thought it was a lot of fun to see. And yeah. But I'm enjoying it. I'm hoping for even more, to be blown away as it goes on.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
And that Kitty and I both watch it. So I wait until she's off work and then she comes over, make dinner, jump on the bed, watch TV and eat. It's great.
That is awesome. And yeah, not too many more episodes. Unfortunately, it's kind of a small series, but that's all right, It's
going to coincide with 7.0, which is great. As soon as 7.0.
Oh, that's right. It's around the same time, that it ends.
Right around the same time. And I'm like,
it's like,
I remember when they
because we'll be busy.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, let's see.
Right.
Oh, that's perfect timing. But yeah.
All right. Anything else, Kitty?
I don't think so, Chill. I think I'm good.
All right. Yeah, so we'll be watching your stream for PTS stuff in the next few days and on your new computer, which is pretty cool.
Hallelujah!
All right, then. That's the show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Steel Sean server or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel, then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com, follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast, and you can find contact details for us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. And something that we don't always mention, but the Aurebesh trainer is still on OotiniCast.com, so if you're watching Book of Boba Fett and you want to learn how to quickly in your brain just read the Aurebesh as though they were English letters, because they're written in English just with this alphabet that's difficult to read. There's an Aurebesh trainer that Tio did years ago, and it's still quite valid, and it's on OotiniCast.com. Anyway, we record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, streaming at twitch.tv/OotiniCast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby, and thank you to the chat room.
Thank you, chat!
All right, and we'll see you next show. So let me go ahead and we'll do a raid.
Let me see if I see you.
Get this opened up so I can actually do this. And gotta get to the dashboard and then manage the stream. Let's see, is there someone you want me to raid specifically?
Yeah, Tabitha Games.
Okay.
She's on. She's good people.
Tabby the Games. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
All right. Off to Tabby we go. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.
We'll go say hi to Tabby, and then boop, here we go. There's the raid. Since we've done raid, I'm going to stop the stream, stop the recording.